Hey everybody, and welcome to SED 104 Week 2. I hope you're getting comfortable in our class and the content. Because we're having class a little different forums this week, I wanted to walk you through some of my expectations for the week and hopefully answer some questions that you might have. At the end of the week, we talked about the fact that on Tuesday, we're going to be doing learning online. So that means that you do not need to come to our classroom, although the room will be open if you would rather sit in there to do your learning. That's absolutely fine, but not required at all. And then on Thursday, we are going to have what's called a Zoom class or class online. So during our class time, you will need to log into your computer and we'll have a conversation kind of like what we're doing right now, but it will be live and you'll be able to ask questions and interact with me. So again, Tuesday, I'm giving you some work to do, and we'll talk about that in 1 second. Thursday, you're going to log into the computer, and you can do that from your dorm room, from home. If you want to come and sit in the classroom, again, that room will be open, so you're welcome to use that space if you would like. It's completely up to you. On Tuesday, my expectation is this. You don't actually have to do the work during our class time, but that time is devoted to work for SED 104. So whatever works best for you, but the expectation is that you're going to be reading Chapter 1 in your textbook, getting ready for the Chapter 1 quiz, and that you're going to take time to go ahead and watch the videos that are in Module 1. And I'll show you those videos in 1 second if you didn't notice those already. This week, what is due as far as assignments go are your Chapter 1 quiz, which is due on the 30th by midnight, and your Chapter 2 quiz is due by 9/2, again at midnight. Keep in mind, if you've got questions in the class, my expectation, if it's a content question, like where do I find it, a link isn't working, I'm not sure how to do something, that you would ask those in this questions ask here forum. And I'm going to click on it now. So I'm expecting you to go here, and you will notice once you click on the questions forum that I have my sample questions, and Alexandria already asked a question. Thank you so much for using this. And she says, quiz due 8/26, location. Excellent question. So I already knew she wanted to know where to find the quiz, but I went ahead and read her question again. Where can I locate the quiz? And so I already answered her and said, it is located in Module 1 under the Modules tab. And I will walk us through how to find that. But I really appreciate you asking that question this way. I'm sure other people are going to have that question and will appreciate it being asked in the forum. So questions like this are perfect for this forum. If you have a question that is related to a grade that you earned, then please email those to me and I'll answer those privately. But general questions should always be asked here. And if one person has them, usually more than one person has a question. All right, so keep in mind if you're still trying to get used to when things are due and how they're due, all of the due dates for things that you are responsible for turning in at a specific time are listed in the course calendar. Each of our modules, there are participation activities that you will earn points for based on the work that you are doing in class. Those aren't listed in the module because those aren't something that you need to prep for in advance. It'll be work that you're doing in class. So these are the dates that you need to put in your calendar, and the work for these assignments is always found in Blackboard and should be located in the module where it is due. Keep in mind, most of our modules span 2 weeks. So for example, Module 1 is actually content from last week and this week, weeks 1 and 2 of class. And then Module 2 will begin in week 3. So I'm going to head back into Blackboard and into the modules themselves. We're going to go into Module 1, which is the module we're working on. And when you go into this module, there's always some general information. And then there's the Advanced Organizer. If you talk to people who took SED 104 in the past, they will have said, you have to do an Advanced Organizer in every module, and they turned those in for a grade. You'll remember we talked about on Tuesday, we've changed the format for SED 104 to have questions that more closely replicate questions that would be asked when you take the Praxis. So you'll still have an Advanced Organizer for every module, And you should still work through the content. I would highly encourage you to actually physically fill out in writing the answers to each question, because some of you will keep the textbook, but lots of you will sell it back. And once your textbook is gone, you're not going to have the answers to that information anymore. So I would recommend as best practice that you go ahead and fill this out. You'll also be using information from the quiz, from the Advanced Organizer, to help you with the quiz. So it's a good idea to fill them out as you go along. So your Advanced Organizer has key questions from Chapter 1 or whatever chapter you're working on. It will also have key information from Chapter 2. And we'll be discussing some of these points in class, but we will not be going through the Advanced Organizer point by point. So it's really important for you to go through the Advanced Organizer for the sections that we're covering that week, and go over that prior to class, so that if you have a question or something you didn't understand, that you can ask that in class and make sure that I cover that. You know, looking at this on Saturday night or Sunday evening and realizing you didn't understand the content is not going to be as helpful to you, because the work is going to be due, the quizzes will be taken before you would come back to class and meet with me on Tuesday. I'm always happy to answer questions even after the timeline is passed, but it's not going to be as helpful to you. Your best use of time would be to fill this out prior to class for the chapter that we would be covering. And you'll see up here, several of you are already in this Advanced Organizer working and learning today. To download this so that you can actually type on it, because this document you can't type on, you would click on the File button, and once you click on File, then you're going to get two options that work for downloading. One is Make a Copy, and Make a Copy would put a copy of this Advanced Organizer into your Google Drive, and that's a perfect option. The other choice would be to go to Download as a Word document, and once you do that, then it downloads a Word document for you that you can type in and save to your computer. So both are the good options. I'd recommend that you do that for each Advanced Organizer. All right, in the module, you'll see that there's extra information. So in this module, we have a video by Daniel Habib, who is a videographer who does a great job sharing a personal perspective on what it's like to have a disability. He has two websites with some short video links for Including Samuel, his first video, and Who Cares About Kelsey, his second video. These entire videos are available in the EKU library, and I'd highly recommend you watch them. It's not required, but a great idea. Under the Who Cares About Kelsey website, there's some great links under the multimedia tab that we'll be using later on in class. So these are great resources. There's another video called I Am Tyler that tells Tyler's personal experiences and gives you one person's view on life with a disability. In class on Thursday, we looked at procedural safeguards and talked about what it felt like to go through those from a parent or a student side and look at those parent rights. And then we also kind of summed up parent rights into some much shorter, hopefully understandable language. And that's all available in our class notes if you want to review our learning. Module 1 assignments is where you're going to click to actually find the assignments you're turning in from module to module. So the first thing that you're required to turn in for SED 104 was the People First Language quiz, and it's due on 8/26. So to find the quiz, as well as some additional content, you're going to click on this link, and it will take you in. Most of the time, the assignments are linked just directly in this section. This one, though, because it had extra content, you had found the quiz by clicking within that folder, and there's some additional information that you would need to read. I know this is a lot of content here, and that you would not probably have time to review it all before the 8/26 deadline. So I'd like to give you that Tuesday time to check out some of the additional information. I'm going to do a really quick reminder tutorial on the People First Language article, and I'm sure that some of you probably have noticed that that's written by at least one person that you know. So check out the authors as you're looking at this document. And you're going to notice that in addition to some really great information about People First Language, and you should be noticing as you look at the article that we're referencing here snow. These snow articles are actually found in your folder. This table is a great resource to print that talks about how you should use language to be really person first. So for example, we're not going to talk about regular education because that implies that if you're in a different setting, you're irregular, and that's just not a great way to talk. We're going to use the terms general education for what some people might call regular, and then we'll use the term special education for students that are identified with disabilities. We're going to avoid using terms like special needs, which is just used to kind of evoke pity. We definitely want to use the word disability or diagnosis. We don't want to use the terms autistic, asthmatic, diabetic, because those often are used, again, to kind of replace the person that we're talking about, or we use that to identify them before we identify the person. So, for example, when we say, Dan is autistic, then we kind of lose the fact that Dan is a person and instead focus on his disability. If we say, Dan has autism, I might have a cold, I might have allergies, I might have diabetes, but it's just part of who I am. It's not the sole emphasis of my being, and we want to always recognize people before we recognize disability. As professionals, we're required by federal law and state law to look at strength-based categories before we identify needs. And when we start talking about people suffering and being afflicted, then we're moving out of that strength-based and into a needs-based as a primary model. And we don't want to do that. So we don't want to use language of pity. We don't want to use language of shame. But we want to say, for example, instead of wheelchair bound, we would want to say, Josh uses his wheelchair to access the environment. Sarah uses a walker, or Marty uses a cane to access his environment. These are things people use to access, to increase their ability to move around, not as things that limit their access. So there's a lot more terms down there that I'd like you to review. Make sure that you're comfortable with how we used to talk and how we talk now on the left-hand side. And if any of these are confusing to you or you're wondering the why behind it, please ask in our class, and I'm happy to share my thoughts behind that and some of the reasons why professionals use People First Language. So the quiz for People First Language is here. When you module assignments, you'll see the 2 chapter quizzes. Excuse me, and remember, the chapter quizzes are multiple choice and true-false. They are kind of praxis-like questions that you'll want to complete. The participation activities are things that we do in class, and you earn credit for those. So that's why attendance is super important. Participation for our first week of class was captured in the Chapter 1 participation activity. I based that grade on the comments that you made completing the class notes and your introductory slides, and your grade has already been posted. For participation activity 2, I'll be basing that on the work that you do in our class notes and our class discussion on Thursday. So those will always be posted by me unless I give you a short assignment and ask you to upload those. But I'll be very clear about that so that you don't have any questions. Over the next week, if you get a chance, I'd recommend you start looking in these bigger assignments, the virtual observation reports, media review, and key assessment project. We mentioned in class already, this class requires you to have a TaskStream account, and we'll be uploading to TaskStream right about the midterm, so you'll need to have your account activated by then. I'd like you to look over that this week so that in class on Tuesday, I can walk through each of those assignments with you. Not Tuesday this week, Tuesday the following week. I'd like to give you an entire week to check them out. And then in 1 week, when we start Module 2, in week 3 of class, we'll go through those assignments step by step to help you get ready for those. But this is a good time to look over them while you have time to think about it and process. I hope you have a great week of learning. I will be with you on Zoom on Thursday, and if you have questions between now and then, please ask them in the questions forum. Happy learning!